Ladies and gentlemen, an emergency episode is needed today, as I did not think that this was going to happen. SoFi ended up closing above $25 per share. Those last minutes there was an unbelievable fight, okay? But we ended up closing above 25 for the first time. Well, one, as a ticker of SoFi, but then two, for the first time since January of 2021, which was all the way back whenever we were IPOE. Guys, we were talking about this company whenever it was $4 per share, okay? Absolutely unbelievable. Up 7.2% on the day. This is dead money, people said. People said that it was not going to go higher and that you should just rotate out of this and buy other fintech names. People were saying rotate out of this and go to PayPal, rotate out of this and go to, many different companies that, like even Upstart, for example, that people said Upstart is doing everything that SoFi is doing, but better. Look at us now. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. This is just crazy. It's unbelievable, dude. Yeah, the calls lately have been insane. Google is also hitting a new all-time high. I was just staring at SoFi Stock, so I didn't actually see what things closed out at. Alphabet dropping a little bit at or down to $206.72, but it did end up reaching an all-time high, historical all-time high of $209.23. We've got a lot of news to cover about Google as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we got to give it up to SoFi. I mean, that is, whenever we sort by, these are all the names that I'm following on my list. It's not it's not every name that you could possibly find. Open Door nearly closes up 40% on the day, above $5 to close out the week. That's another very exciting mile marker. Okay. Sharp Bet or SBet, Sharp Link, SBet, also closed out above $20 per share, $20.87, up nearly 16%. That's going to be another great one for the portfolio and also the community portfolio as well. SOFEX, which is their 2x leverage portfolio, obviously going to be growing quite a lot. Ethereum up 13.5%, and they don't have an after hours, so they're still potentially moving here. 4,800 on Ethereum. Okay, these days is why we do not sell a couple days ago whenever everyone was getting, super scared about the idea that we're going into a major correction and it's time to sell SoFi before it runs down to 10. I got so many DMs, people reaching out to me, and this is why you don't sell. This is why if you're a long-term shareholder, you focus on the fundamentals because of days exactly like today. Okay? Because Jerome Powell can come out and say that he thinks that there needs to be changes to the policy. And right now we're at, 4.25%. Maybe that comes down by 25 basis points. Maybe that comes down by 50. But I do not think that he meant that he's hiking. So let's take a look really quickly. September rate cuts are now at, the chance of a rate cut in September is now at 83% again, climbing back up, with the chance of no changes at 16.9%. By December, we have a 1.4% chance of no change with, potentially 37% chance of 3 rate cuts by the end of December of 2025. This is why SoFi is rallying today. That, and on the back of, now I don't think the stock is necessarily taking into account some of the comments that Noto made, but I am, okay? This is super important. So one, Anthony Noto ended up tweeting out and said that he's been in this company for a long time and could not be more excited about 2 technology super cycles, artificial intelligence and blockchain technology. Okay. And that he believes, even though he stated over 12 million members now, which is not how many we ended up reporting last quarter. It's not a significant mile marker. I mean, it is exciting, but we were on pace regardless of hitting 12 million. So I could have predicted that. That's not necessarily saying that anything is too explosive, but we could be at, 12.3 million right now. He's still only going to say 12 million. But listen to this. This is where it gets exciting. We are hiring aggressively and looking for the best of the best in areas of AI, crypto, blockchain, and payments, and any great leader that has the range of working on startup type products and businesses to scale beyond rapid growth to durable compounded decades of growth. I love everything about this. AI, crypto, blockchain, payments. Those are really the three sectors that I'd want them to be in: AI, blockchain, payments, right? And then also saying they're looking for the best of the best talent, not talent that's on sale. We're talking about, hiring people that are extremely expensive, but also bring, that 10x value to the company. Working on startup type products and businesses. Love this from him. This is something that you would expect Vlad Tenev to talk about, or other leaders in the area or in the space that people have sort of put above SoFi and where they rank the most innovative companies. SoFi is saying, hey, no, we are right there. And in fact, please reach out. And if you don't want to reach out here, you can DM me if you want to keep your interest confidential. The CEO is taking direct hiring if there's someone in particular that says, hey, you know what? I'm very high profile. I'd love to work for SoFi, but I'm not going to be putting in my resume through some random resume portal for some intern to look at. If the CEO wants me, I'm going to DM him, and Anthony Noto is taking that directly into his inbox. I love this. I love this. So this is not why the stock is moving, okay? But it does bring a lot of that, what I want to see, that founder mentality. And remember, Noto is not a founder of this business. He's, sort of a quasi-founder. He was hired after Mike Cagney had left. So the fact that he picked up this business in 2018 and just has been sprinting with it is great. And we've went through long periods of transitions, which I've had many interviews on this channel where people said, I don't see a path to profitability. I see a path of, JP Morgan and the big banks stomping them out. I see a path where they go insolvent. They have a reverse stock split. They do not continue as a business. The profitability, do we not remember that SoFi as a business used to be questioned if whether or not they were going to be profitable? This was a constant belief. Now it's in zero people's minds that SoFi will ever go back into a range of unprofitable times. Okay. They're completely profitable. And in fact, a company that can show unbelievable growth, nearly 250% growths over the last 1 year period. This is absolutely insane. But this is what growth companies can do in areas that have not been innovated upon. Financials is a very weird space, okay? And there's this great mix of unbelievable new tech and also unbelievable incumbents that are lobbying hard to make sure that their position in their space stays, exactly where it is. We even see it in the Genius Bill or the Genius Act where, stable coins, for example, are starting to get regulated in America and allowed for financial institutions to take part in these, but then you can't earn interest on these stable coins. It's that only benefits one cohort of the financial names in this space, and that's legacy banks that currently do not charge. It's purely a move for that benefits the institution and not the customer. But that's not how companies like SoFi or Robinhood win. They win by offering that margin and offering those benefits to the consumer, and consumers feel ripped off at JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citi, and Bank of America. So they end up switching. Overall, it's been a great year. We love this. But if SoFi gets into this growth phase, which, by the way, they did a capital raise. I ended up tweeting about this today. Where'd that capital raise go? Where did all these people, like people that we know that we have on the channel often saying, hey, I'm actually going to trim back because this idea was very poor and it kills the momentum of SoFi stock. Well, we have the momentum. It's going much higher. And SoFi has a ton of capital now. So where were all the naysayers? It was like a bunch of them. A bunch of people said they hated that move, but yet it didn't impact the stock. And now SoFi's loaded with cash to increase the speed at which they give out loans. And then they also have more money to potentially pay off high interest debts, which means they can increase their margin. You want to find the next 10 bagger, 5x, whatever type business that you're looking for? Okay. Look for a company that's accelerating growth rates. So not just growing. I'm not talking about accelerating revenue. I'm talking about accelerating the growth rate while also increasing margin. If you can get two of those things, which you've seen at Robinhood, which you've seen at Palantir, which you've seen at Shopify, which you've seen at all of the best businesses that have ever been on the markets, SoFi in Q2 of 2025 has shown off those statistics. Increasing growth rates, not just on a year-over-year comp because it was weaker, but just general cyclical improvements. Personal loans, student loans, home loans, all on track, which is what I've been calling for years. And I've been taking a rashy bunch of crap for that. But now we're finally seeing what I had believed for quite a while. And I actually still think that over the next 4 quarter prints that we end up seeing, that SoFi will end up getting in past the $40 mark. And the fact that we closed above 25, that institutions on their covered calls and their options that they have could not keep it below $25 per share, which they fought on at the end. They didn't actually keep it below 25. The buying pressure was so there that we actually pushed above 25. So that was an interesting take. And I heard from a lot of people that they did not believe that was going to happen. So quite interesting. And also, it does look nice that SoFi is even a little green in the after hours. I mean, we're up a penny, but still, it's not like there's some massive sell-off into the after hours either. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. At one point today, we hit 25.25. It's a great day. You could see where Jerome Powell is starting to make some of his comments. Unreal. Google as well, though. If I could talk quickly about Google, I'll take some of your questions about SoFi, where I believe it's going, and some other things that are happening in fintech as well. Visa had a very interesting statement that they made today. I mean, like really, really poor. Talk about companies that I think are worried about the future. Oh my gosh. You see JP Morgan and Visa making terrible wrong turns, I think, in their business. Now, if we're talking about wrong turns in the market, I think that we have to point to Google. Google just hit another all-time high historically. Another company that I have not always been bullish on. So this is a name, and why I love the market so much is that I was wrong early on Google. I thought that they were going to get crushed by artificial intelligence, and I had made some pretty public statements about how that would be the last company that I would touch. In fact, I even made comments about shorting it. I never did. But I ended up changing my position on this because of the advancements that Google Gemini was making and how they were integrating that into the rest of their ecosystem. If I could talk about anything as a small lesson that I've learned, especially over the last 2 years or so, is keep making sure that you're not wrong. And if you are wrong, it's okay to change your stance. I think a little bit differently for me and other creators online. We get this term flip-flopper, and it almost makes so then you have to keep a stance and you're not allowed changing your mind, or else you get ridiculed and people make fun of you for trying to learn something new. I'm not going to be that way. Okay. Google, I ended up changing my stance on that and ended up going very long on that position. Okay. So we've been acquiring shares, and I still am acquiring shares, and happy to buy over $200 here today. And we saw 2 unbelievable articles over the last 2 days that has just completely changed the view of investors just recently. One was Google signing a 6-year cloud deal with Meta that could be worth more than $10 billion. Meta didn't end up wanting to do this deal, or had skepticism previously, and they end up working with Microsoft and AWS instead for most of their compute. But they're growing so freaking fast, and have so much spend towards artificial intelligence that they need every single hyperscaler working with them. So they ended up signing a massive deal with Google. This ended up bringing the stock much higher. We'll see the backlog fill up greatly on these types of products. But usually whenever you see these big deals, it's not just one company. It's usually a shift in the overall environment, that there's more AI spend, more token generation needed, especially if large customers cannot get enough demand from the two biggest cloud providers that the world has. That's very interesting. So Google ended up shooting up on that. Okay. Then the next piece was one that I literally talked about how, like yesterday, how this was not going to happen, which was that Apple was going to pick OpenAI because there's not a chance that they're going to pick any of the other providers that have large ecosystems for their AI partnerships. Clearly, they're not developing LLMs in-house. And so, and even with their own cloud infrastructure and everything, so they have to go outbound for a lot of these tools. And this was just very interesting. Let's go ahead and I'll just share my screen. According to Bloomberg, Apple is in early discussions about using Google Gemini to power a revamped version of Siri's voice assistant, marking a key potential step towards outsourcing more of its artificial intelligence technology. We already know that was going to happen, okay? Apple Intelligence is, I'm being very nice here, not as good as the other players, okay? And so they were tapping OpenAI for a lot of these tools, but unbelievably, the iPhone maker recently approached Alphabet or Google to explore building a custom AI model that would serve as the foundation of its new Siri next year. Not long term, next year. According to people familiar with this matter, I can't read today. Google has started training a model that could run on Apple servers, says the people who asked not to be identified because the discussions are private. Guys, that is just crazy. So if that does end up happening, and Apple is so far behind on AI that they have to go to what could be their largest competitor and say, hey, could we borrow you for a second? We need to just, Google Gemini is super awesome. And then there was also claims, very recently, hey, you know what? We're actually going to stop using Google search. We can develop our own tools. Google, sold off super hard because they thought that they were going to, not have to pay Apple $20 billion anymore. And that was somehow bearish. And I'm being a little bit picky right now. Obviously, it would be bearish. They're not giving $20 billion away if it's not bringing in, 40 plus. So that article came out, but then they said, hey, we might tap them for their foundational models and build us a custom model that, might be stored privately on Apple servers, whatever. Unbelievable. So very bullish on Google right now. Very bullish on big tech in general. I mean, overall, it doesn't matter what, Apple ends up doing. If they end up going with Gemini and then that makes Siri a 10 out of 10 product, that also is bullish for Apple as well. You want them to have the best products. The main concern is that people leave their ecosystem. So if that means that you have to empower Google a little bit in order to make sure that you still have a thriving ecosystem, fine. I think that that's probably in Apple's best interest. Now, if they can get those tools at the right price from OpenAI, that's probably a little bit better, but they probably see the beast that OpenAI is becoming as well. And so they don't want to be wholeheartedly reliant on them either. So that was quite incredible from Google today. We also got more confirmation that Trump is looking to potentially take a stake in Intel today. We heard that once again. I'm curious your guys' thoughts on what you really think about this type of move. I mean, for one, if I'll lay out what I think personally. Remember, I'm a Canadian. If you don't want me involved in your politics, but I understand. But this is the way that I see it. If the United States wants to take an investment in private companies in general, I'm positive on that. In terms of an S&P 500 or a United States government 500, 1,000, whatever, and the same way that you would give startup money to children to end up getting into the S&P 500, you could possibly do that with the, an own government taking stake in private businesses. I think that is a powerful stance. Okay. Picking specifically whether you want to bet on Intel or Micron or TSM or something like this, even though these are the biggest players and might seem like they are the winners of today, giving preferential legal treatment, well, they wouldn't say that they would do that, but somehow in all of time, the companies that have been given these types of grants and equity stake, these sort of things. Well, not equity stake specifically, but if you get into politicians' minds, usually the landscape ends up getting turned to those companies' favor. So there could be a new style startup like Foundry that goes to compete with Intel that does not have government funding, might have a breakthrough new technology, but yet is completely left in the dust and not supported by the US government because it's actually more beneficial for them to give preferential treatment to Intel. That's my only problem. So aside from that, I do like the idea that the government has stake in private businesses, just not selectively. I would like that as more of a broader sovereign fund, right? And that's the key thing there. But maybe there is something to be said about having to bump up the potential, benefits of Intel, feeding them a lot of capital, so then U.S. foundries and the products that Intel are creating are world class. But usually that's done through some sort of grant, loan, something along these lines. That way, the governments have a fixed return rather than trying to game that return overall. Those have been done previously. But yeah, early show. Yeah, we're doing a little bit of an early show because for those that are piling in, I see a lot of new people in chat. Ladies and gentlemen, SoFi closed above $25 per share, which I did not think it was going to do. As the day was going on and it started to fall below $25, I thought, oh, okay, institutions are going to make sure that this stays below $25 for their options. That's crazy. When is MSCI? That's August 26th, that a new institution will end up having to take stake in SoFi. Not having to. I mean, they selected it. They also selected Rocket Lab and Affirm. But that should be a benefit for the inflows of SoFi as well. And then those institutions will not sell out. They will look at that as a stake in the overall, fund that they run. And then many, many other indexes and funds will be benchmarked to MSCI. Yeah. So, yeah, what's funny is I still don't necessarily believe this, that 25 equals a rate cut is priced in. We talked about this yesterday on how SoFi at $23 and these sort of things was rate cuts priced in, and then bang, 7+% day. If you actually look at the chances of a rate cut here in September, we're still at about 83%. So I still think it could have a leg up on the actual news, not just a rumor. Obviously, Jerome Powell definitely signaled that they're more open to having rate cuts now, and that they're sort of changing the benchmark for what they're looking for. But I wouldn't necessarily say that SoFi at 25 means that this is the cap of where they can be. I think we're about to go into a re-rating, not based on what SoFi is able, or not based on what macro is able to say for SoFi, but what Anthony Noto is about to deliver for SoFi, which is faster growth rates and better margins. And the capital raise is completely not priced into any of these analysts on what they're putting on for SoFi. So hopefully we start to see some more analysts come out with more rankings for SoFi, not because they dictate what we're going to do with our stocks, but mainly because there are institutions that pay for those analysts. And whenever they increase their prices and say, hey, these companies are doing very well and these are the reasons, it helps distill that information to, new investors, new potential investors. Tanner, what do you think about the Nvidia H20 stuff? Honestly, I'm not too concerned about it overall. Yeah, that's crazy, eh? Still very bullish day, 177.99 on Nvidia. We've heard some many rumors that they're also looking to make a more powerful chip that's also compliant to go out to China. So not worried. Not worried. Honestly, I feel like every bearish report lately has been honestly a report that should be ignored for the most part. We saw this with Meta. I think we're seeing this with Nvidia. We saw it with Nvidia in previous rumors about them potentially, what was the last one that we ended up seeing? What was it? Oh, I just had it. What was the thing that happened like 2 months ago where Jensen Huang had to come out and say, hey, no, actually, we're doing completely fine. Well, there's DeepSeek. That's not the one I was thinking of. Yeah. Okay, actually, guys, give me one quick second. I just need to run downstairs and grab something, but I'll be like literally 20 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Yes, thank you. It was the Rubin redesign. Thank you so much. The Vera Rubin. That was the other one that was suggested. I should have put on some elevator music. I think I have some. I could have thrown something on. Wash your hands? No. I had to grab my phone. Okay. Been getting his cardio in. Yeah, I just had to run downstairs. SBET also on fire. Ethereum was on fire today. But I think that also plays into what I'm seeing as well, that the market is, very excited that there are massive changes in financials right now. And I think SoFi plays a big role in that. I think Robinhood plays a big role in that. I didn't actually see Robinhood. Where did Robinhood go today? Up 2.8%, 109.32. That's very exciting. Let's go through, because I was just staring at SoFi the whole day. Let's go through and see some of these names really quick. We'll sort top down here. Open Door, obviously. This is rate cut excitement, and probably rightfully so. If I'm not saying it's a 40% change on Open Door, the idea of let's say a 25 basis point cut, but still probably bullish in general. And then in the after hours, another 3%. So 517 on Open Door right now. SharpLink Gaming, SBET up to 15.7%, another 2% in the after hours. That's 21.27 for SBET. That's going to look great for the community fund. We'll have to check that out in a second. Ethereum over 4,800, looking very, very strong over the last month. If we drag this all the way out, wow. Okay, and then Pagaya up 13%, Zoom up 12.7%, BMNR up another 12%, 53.49. It's definitely been the real shining Ethereum treasury name versus SBET for sure, and the other ones as well. Enphase actually up 10.4%. That's exciting. Solana up 9%. Rocket companies up 9% to 1921. That's probably more of an exciting bet for me if I were to bet on interest rates. You could see me in the future taking a stake in rocket companies, but we should probably do a little bit of a deep dive on that company to find out what they're all about. Oscar Health up 9%, continuing to climb in the after hours, $17.08. Upstart up 8%. Bloom Energy up 8.3%. Rivian up. Webull, Unity, Lyft, SoFi, Norwegian Cruise Lines, IonQ, Carnival, Zeta, Rocket Labs, all up around 7%. Crazy. Figma at 77.30. Yeah, it was a bullish day. And to think, not too long ago, I'm talking 2 days ago, people were in panic mode saying we were going to get the largest correction on growth stocks. I had to pull up charts about Nvidia and Costco to show the differences in their growth rates, their margins, and the prices that you would have to pay on, Costco versus Nvidia. And I'm overall bullish on Costco as a company, but I also think that there's some companies that can just be expensive. Some things were read today for sure. But honestly, not many. The bottom percentages here for sure. We can take a look at the overall sectors here as well. This I thought was quite interesting. NASDAQ composite up 1.88%, S&P 500 1.5%, semis up 2. We ended up seeing a lot of green. Telcos were down, discount stores and beverages are red. Everything else was green. Once again, I am going to be betting on growth companies, on tech names, and essentially everything for and this is not because of Anthony Inoto, but Anthony Inoto kind of highlighted the areas that I'm very bullish on: artificial intelligence, blockchain, digitalization of industries that have not normally been innovated upon quite yet. Which is also why I think companies like Open Door and these sort of companies are also catching a bid. They are meme stocks, but I think retail is getting excited on the idea that margins are pretty high on the sale of real estate. And if that could come down, maybe there's an opportunity there. New management, all of these things were probably also needed as well. Kerry Wheeler, I don't know. Whenever you have people like Keith Raboy coming out and saying Kerry needs to change, that's probably it's probably time. Nvidia to 200 by October. I mean, I could definitely see it. We've got earnings coming up next week. That will be very exciting for Nvidia. Could be. I mean, maybe it sells off on bad earnings, but I don't see it. I don't see it. You take a historic look on their earnings. They beat. They are known to beat. And then robotics is next. Yep, exactly. Then once we end up seeing a massive rollout in, well, data centers will continue its build out forever, or quote unquote AI factories, as what I think it'll translate into for the most part. But robots are not only going to need chips on their own person, for which I believe that Jensen Huang is going to be showing off something on August 25th for them. They made a pretty clear announcement of that. However, he was signing a letter saying, "Dear robots, your new brain is arriving August 25th," something like that. So we'll end up seeing an announcement on what happens there for Nvidia. But then whenever that happens, whenever they are offering these quote unquote new brains, it doesn't just offer these companies more efficiency. It also allows them to increase the speed at which those robots can do their tests, which means if there were problems that couldn't be solved before that can now get solved with better technology, then new startups will end up appearing in the robotic space. We'll have Figure AI and Apptronic and all of these other businesses that are trying to create their own robots also be able to accelerate their growth, probably catch larger bids from, VC firms because their robots are having more showcases of being able to solve more complex problems. So that's very exciting. And then on that part, Nvidia is not just putting the chips in house, but if you are selling a fleet of robots, not every individual robot in Amazon warehouses is going to be making its own decisions on premise, meaning like in its own machine. It's going to send out to a data center of all of its learnings, and then a potential robot might make a mistake here, note it, label it, send it to the rest of the robots. The other robots will go, okay, well, I'll never do that again, and the speed at which they'll learn will be much faster than any human could ever learn, because it's learning as fast as the fleet is learning. And if you have better tech that NVIDIA is going to be able to show off, and not just this time, but for next year and the year after that, we're only going to see an increased rate of how fast these robots are delivered, not just for Amazon, but for every business. Logistics first, and then we'll end up seeing them in, many other commercial use cases, and then even in consumers' homes. Wait till you get an Apple robot that ends up coming to your house and folding your laundry and cooking and doing all these things. These things will happen. What price do you put on the company that is enabling the tech for every single one of those robots? I mean, for me, it's higher than $4+ trillion. I've been saying for a long time, Nvidia will be the first $10 trillion company. The Jetsons, yeah, I mean, that's literally the name of their product. It's the Jetson. B-dubs. Also, care to explain yourself? You still think that there's a correction here, brother? Huh? This is why I didn't make too much space for a ton of cash. You truly do not know when we see an ultimate red day that we're going to see, a pure correction. Usually you need to see something that actually ticks or sparks that in order to happen. We haven't been seeing that. We've been seeing really strong earnings. 83% of companies beat by an average of 7% on Wall Street expectations in the S&P 500. And the technology improvements in artificial intelligence and the actual silicon that's getting built to supply that growth is also improving. Energy costs are improving. All of these sectors are all improving at once. We've never seen this many technological breakthroughs at the exact same time. Now, I'm not a super Cathie Wood fan in terms of the trades that she makes, that her team makes, ARK Invest. But the research that they do, the big ideas part of Cathie Wood's team, I'm a big, big believer in. And I think that she was 100% right whenever she pointed to all of these breakthroughs: battery tech, EVs, self-driving, robots, drones, everything. Blockchain technology, payments, instant settlement. And you think that, by the way, instant settlement in payments and all of these things only affects, payment companies and financials? It's not true. That greatly affects, like, Amazon. The way that Amazon makes money on Amazon.com is payments. Like, there's only so many levers that they can pull. And you're seeing the biggest one, the one that they've been so stringent on changing for the longest time, going to have massive step changes in the margin, in the time to actually receive that money. And it seems silly to think, a couple of days of settlement is not going to change much. No, it really is. If companies and institutions can now receive money much faster, that means that they can put that money back to work much faster. And if you're dealing in micropayments and constant, the velocity of money in your institution is very fast, if you can end up receiving that money back faster, this can lead to large step changes in growth rates. That's only one breakthrough in the list of breakthroughs that, ARK Invest has been shouting out for some time. So I give her a lot of credit for the big ideas portion. Maybe not so much on the trades. She says all of these things about how AI and everything is the biggest breakthroughs, and then she's putting that money towards like Zoom. Okay. Teladoc and Zoom, baby. I mean, yeah. I think that for her fund, she should have taken bigger bets on larger institutions rather than trying to look for every single 10x or 20x on smaller names. I think that's also why, big tech is doing so well, and we're seeing a lot of people go, oh, well, how long can this continue that one single sector or a handful of companies can continue to dominate? But those companies are playing in literally every single aspect of where these breakthroughs are happening. Okay. So as these end up making changes in payments and digitalization and people holding money online and, semiconductors improving and cloud end up seeing the majority of where storage and, where companies are end up building their products is usually online as well. I think that they are much more flexible and have so much more margin improvements to go, especially being on the forefront of artificial intelligence. And a lot of them are even building the foundational models, so they don't have to go out and pay for the AIs, like or pay for the APIs, like what potentially Apple might have to do, because Meta and Amazon and sorry, what was the list I said? Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, OpenAI, all of these companies are doing them themselves. So very exciting. Um, Same shame. Such excellent research is getting kind of wasted. I mean, I don't know about that. Kathy Wood has a lot of assets under management still, and I think RK has done decently well this year. But even then, she could have done so much better. She was buying at SoFi at like 15, sold it at like 11, and then bought back in at like 17 or something, 17 or 18. Yeah, she's climbing up to 25. That's a profit, but like you sold at 12. You could have been double. I don't know. Let's take a look at RK really quickly, because they would have seen a large sell-off during the last little bit. If we take a look at their 5 days here, yeah, big sell-offs into instant recovery, and now back to where we were. It's what you're going to see from a lot of these businesses, I feel. Is SoFi greater than Nubank if you started to buy in today? I think that it depends on the type of investor that you are. If you're, a heavy believer in the United States markets and want to, U.S. companies will always catch a higher multiple, a bigger bid on U.S. companies versus institutional companies. Nubank, although being a very fast and well operated business, and I have nothing wrong to say about Nubank, that institutional aspect is not going to allow them, at least for now, to get the multiple that SoFi is getting. When SoFi included into the S&P, I mean, this is very interesting, right? Like there was a lot of hopes that SoFi might get entered into the S&P. Which one is it? 400 that's mid cap, or is it 600 that's mid cap? I think it's 400 mid cap, right? Yeah, 400. There were some hopes that they were going to get into the mid cap index for the S&P 400. However, now that they've continued to climb, SoFi at $25 per share leads them to a market cap of $29.96 billion. This is about to be a $30 billion company, ladies and gentlemen. It was not long ago that we could not say the same. This is a 1-year chart. Tanner, you need to leak who Amit met with. I think that's going on right now. I think that's at 4:00. I thought it was pretty clear based on the last hints that he gave of who he was meeting with. It's literally insane. Like it just the fact that some YouTuber that for the most up until recently was streaming and growing his audience from his room at home with his parents is just insane to be able to meet with who he's meeting with today. I don't know if he has disclosed it or not, so I'm not going to say anything, but just crazy. He said it was he said he was meeting with a tall person who is connected to the White House and is in finance. And I think that goes to one name, if I were to guess. Or no, I guess it goes to a few. But yeah. We're not doing this. I'm not going to give away his secret. I think that it'll be disclosed soon. It's unbelievable though. Whenever I heard it was that he reached out to him for some reason, it was just crazy. Okay, let's go back to these markets. These green markets that are green in the after hours as well. Crazy. Did you buy any hood this week? No, I have not bought any hood this week. But I have been buying SoFi. I have been buying Google, Amazon, these sort of names. I don't know what's up with all the Scotty Pippen guesses. But yeah. Your glasses suck, idiot. I love coming to a chat and just being like, you know what? This guy has to get it. He can't be walking around with any self-confidence. He has to know. That's awesome. Okay. Mercado Libre actually announced that they are launching their credit card in Argentina following rampant fulfillment and overall growth investments there as a macro background continues to brighten, says Brad Freeman. I thought that was interesting as well. And then this report from Visa, which follows on the back of a similar report from JP Morgan, also, giving like massive insight to say, hey, you know what? These open banking practices are costing our customers tons of money. Oh, by the way, we're going to stop that. We're going to make these fintechs pay for our customer information. And then like a week later, they increased the monthly transactional fees for their sort of low income customers. And the way that they sorted that was you have to have a minimum monthly balance. So the difference in that rate that they were charging was $12 a month to $15 a month. Okay. Which is insane. The fact that we are going further into much more technologically advanced areas, everyone's got a smartphone and everything. And JP Morgan is saying, hey guys, we don't want you as a customer. Your lifetime value as a customer is extremely low. It's just not worth the headache. So we're going to continue to raise up the rates. If you want to keep paying that, great. We'll take a higher cut. If not, bye. We have no problem with you leaving. Insane. It's not because the cost to keep that customer on a platform is too expensive. It's to keep a customer on their platform is too expensive. They get to come in at any point, use the ATMs, visit a financial advisor, and essentially, and I know this sounds rude, but the way that JP Morgan's management looks at that is it's just bogging down their costs away from the consumers, the business owners, all of these things that could be walking in during those days, who they would actually like to service. So they're not a home, a community, anything along these lines for your money. They are treating their customers like pigs to slaughter. Okay. Now, That's why you're seeing such a massive rise in the Chimes, SoFis, Robinhoods, all of these companies, because they have a tech stack that's designed to bring customers on, have low monthly service costs, and that's only going to get better with, better payment infrastructure, better artificial intelligence, lowering customer service fees. And so JP Morgan is not caring about the segment that SoFi is taking. They literally don't care, because investment banking for them and in capital markets, the debt markets are so unbelievably huge, tens and tens of trillions of dollars, that they just don't care. Visa doing the exact same thing. Visa shuts its open banking business in the US amid regulatory uncertainty about consumer data rights. I don't know why I can't read today. And the prospect of higher fees for customer information. I literally can't read. This is insane, guys. Like, the fact that open banking practices is coming to an absolute close, I think, one, really hurts fintechs and enables the large legacy institutions to strengthen their moat, because they have the data and the new fintechs that are appearing do not. The interesting part about this is SoFi is not one of them. They're not tapping these institutions for open banking practices. They have their own bank. Not only does this open up SoFi to continue to grow even faster without other fintech competitors having the same advantages, but they could probably also create a service that allows for fintechs to tap into them. I wonder, maybe Galileo and Technisys, maybe they could just further promote those products, because the Visas and the JP Morgans and all of these ones are using what they're calling regulatory uncertainty, where really it's not regulatory uncertainty, it's regulatory certainty that they're allowed to abandon these practices. That's more what it's about here, which is sickening. Do you have a link to Moomoo? No, I don't. I might, but I don't. The only company that I'm working with is Fiscal AI. That's the only one. I've left all my other partnerships behind, which weren't even partnerships. They were just affiliates. Fiscal AI is like an actual channel partner and will be for a long time. Why are you steaming so early? I came on hot, baby. SoFi was $25. We were talking about Amit, so people are still talking about who he's potentially meeting. But I promise you guys, I'm not going to say a thing, so it doesn't matter. Visa is currently under pressure from the gaming community due to censorship. Well, from what I heard, if you're talking about the Roblox incident, I don't know. It's probably justified. Like, talk about a stock that I would not want to hold is Roblox right now. I don't know how they could make more mistakes in their community. And like, that's literally what they do, right? It's like, community management to some degree. Wow, are we happy today? What happened? I know, right? Very exciting. Let's see if there is. I don't think there were any exciting names for earnings today. Yeah, not really. Ubiquity, gold miners, BJ Wholesale. I don't care. Let's see if there's. I don't really think there is any new updates right now. Okay. Sam Altman is saying that we should have kids. That's something. Trump is going to start doing a major tariff investigation on furniture coming into the United States. Within the next 50 days, that investigation will be completed, and furniture coming from other countries into the United States will be tariffed at the rate yet to be determined. This will bring the furniture business back to North Carolina, South Carolina, Michigan, and states all across the union. Thank you for your attention to this matter. That happened about 30 minutes ago. But holy. The highest ever close, according to data-driven investing here for SoFi, even in its IPO days, intraday it closed into the $28+ ranges. For SoFi's close, not intraday, the highest we've ever seen was $25.78. $25.78. If we end up seeing higher than that, that will be the highest close SoFi has ever seen in its history. All-time high intraday included and everything it would be like, we need to see like $29. I still think we're going to see that soon. Once we start seeing some earnings come in, I think the whole market's going to turn around on their bullish stance for the company. Let's take a look at the community fund after today, and then we'll take a look at the stock draft as well. The community fund, this is your guys' picks, not mine. So we're down. I didn't pick a single one of these stocks. These are you guys. Funded completely by donations. Starting on July 8th, we were up 5% today. SBET making up a good part of that. SoFi, all of our biggest names running a lot. NEO up 14. But historically still, the only problem that we're having is that one of our largest holdings, SBET, is still down quite heavily right now. Okay, that's the only concern. Kratos, what is that? Bloom Energy, Rocket Companies, Lemonade, all up big. American Eagle Outfitters, Joby, SoFi. SoFi is our biggest holding, still up, continuing to climb. That's very, very good. Yeah. That's a pretty good update. But I don't think that this is updated. The chart is not updated for the day, though, because we should see a large spike up. I mean, we're up 5%. That should be returning quite a lot. Maybe we need to give it a little minute. I prefer SBET personally. It's the one that I actually do hold in my own portfolio, not just the community fund, but I did end up buying some myself. Duolingo's down. Duolingo is down, yeah, on a pretty green day. What ended up happening to happen? I can't talk today. Geez, I'm getting a phone call as well. Let's take a look. Steve, you are live.
Hi.
You are live.
Why are you live?
I work.
It's 5 o'clock.
Yeah. What do you
do your live stuff at night?
SoFi closed at $25 a share. I had to go live.
Oh, you had to go live. Okay.
What did you think? $25 a share. What did you think?
It doesn't matter.
You're bringing down the energy here. I'm having a good time.
Wake me up when it's at 50.
What is your cost basis, Steve? Why do you hate this name so much? You own the stock. Your cost base is probably half this.
Half? It's lower than that.
What's your cost basis? 6?
I don't know.
You up 4x?
Probably like $8 or $9, something like that.
I mean, a triple's not bad.
I wanted to know what you thought about Ethereum. Who cares about SoFi?
Okay, you come on. I'll send you a link.
I'm not coming on.
I'm
still in my office. I'm waiting on a few things to come in.
Perfect. You're in your office. You're in front of a webcam.
I am in front of a webcam because I have 3 computers on my desk. Yes.
Perfect. Sounds good. But you can't come live.
I am not coming live from my office. What do you think of Ethereum?
I'm very bullish on Ethereum right now. I think that...
Are you buying Ethereum at these prices?
I have not been actively buying the coin as much as you'd think I am. I bought a little bit, but mainly buying SBET. And probably I'm going to take a stake in BMNR as well.
So I think Ethereum is going much higher. I can't believe what it shot back up to in the past 2 days. Are you in the camp that this is going to go significantly higher?
Yeah, I mean, I do see Ethereum, at 10, 15,000, if that's what you're asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Is that what you're looking for? You wanted to hear those numbers?
Well, you have a pretty good track record with this type of stuff, so I wanted to see what you said.
I'm having a good track record right now. Did you see all the Google news, bro? Did you see what Apple said?
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Bro, okay, did you see the Meta Google news yesterday?
No.
Okay, get ready. Are you seated?
I'm sitting down,
yeah. Okay. Google and Meta supposedly are agreeing to a $10+ billion cloud infrastructure deal because they need that much compute.
Okay.
So that's going to be a nice paycheck over the next 6 years for Google. It starts a great partnership, and obviously Meta will if things go well, they'll probably double down. Mm-hmm. Next, they ended up seeing Apple said they're in early talks for Google AI to create the next Siri. That OpenAI is not the only player that they're going to want to work with, and they're going to their biggest competitor, Google, to potentially tap them for Gemini to create the next Siri on Apple servers.
You know what? That is so bearish, Apple. It's disgusting.
I know, but that doesn't matter, bro. We're not betting on God. Apple.
So disgustingly bearish for Apple that they can't even build this on their own, and they need their competitor to build it. And that just goes to show you how much better Android's AI will always be. It makes me sick.
Yeah, but are you taking bets on Apple?
I am an Apple shareholder. I am an Alphabet shareholder. I am a Meta shareholder. So, yes, I have exposure to everything in the Mag 7.
Got you. Overall, all those articles that came out the other day that were talking about how Meta's slowing down on their spend and everything, I think it was all noise, bro.
Did you see my Meta article that came out this morning?
No.
I tagged you in the tweet.
You tag me in every tweet. You tag me in dividend tweets. I don't read them all.
I only tag you in stuff that you would be interested in. I tagged you in the Meta thing this morning.
And what did you see?
It's grossly undervalued.
You want me to buy some?
I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you it's grossly undervalued.
You actively
this could be $1,000 next year.
You call me every day to tell me what to do.
Meta is grossly undervalued.
Okay. I need to look into it.
The street has raised their 2025 EPS target by, I believe, $2.17 from where it was. It's about a 9% increase, but they've left 2027 in line since the beginning of the year. They are shortchanging the forward growth, and they're setting Meta up for several blowout quarters in a row.
All right. And what about their user growth on monthly actives, daily actives? Do you think that that's going to continue to climb for many years?
Eventually, it's not going to, but it's not going to matter. They already have a third of the global population, if not more, on it. So it doesn't even matter at this point. What's more important is their ability to win the next computing platform, which is going to be wearables, and I think they're going to.
Yeah. I do think glasses is going to be a big thing, but I'm also a native glasses wearer, so it makes a really easy transition for me. I don't know if that'll be for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, once you really have a lot of interactive capabilities with those Oakleys, I'm getting it there.
Yeah. Okay, bro, my arm's hurting holding you up to this mic. Come on the FinTech Friday show tonight at 10.
FinTech Friday show at 10?
Yeah, previously the SoFi Weekly.
Which I thought you weren't allowed to say those two words together.
No, it's the other one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Oh, honestly,
I'll see.
Yeah.
I'll see.
Okay, cool, man.
All right, later.
Peace. I love Steve, but I mean, man, the guy knows how to bring down a mood, eh? I think that these are the days that you have to celebrate. You have to, enjoy the moments whenever SoFi ends up breaking into territory that I've never seen it at since following the business. ETH. What's going on with ETH? Oh, yep, you guys are right. Ethereum pushing higher here. Yep, what a good call from Steve. Right on time. Holy. Let's keep pushing. Let's get to 49 on stream. I do actually think it will go to 10,000, 15,000 over the next, and in a recent or in a not so distant future. Yeah. Oh, but not today. Just whatever direction the chart's going, that's whether I'm bearish or bullish. No, I mean, the truth is that I think that if you treat it like a technology company and you see more people over time using the technology, that's bullish. The more activity on SoFi, the better. Or SoFi. The more activity on Ethereum, the better. How about 5K on stream? I mean, I feel like we'd need to see something come out in order for it to hit 5K. You get more ETH per share with SBET. Yep, very true. To me, BMNR feels like it's hyped due to Thiel's stake and Tom Lee, but the market loves hyped names. I mean, that's true. I think SBET's a very great name. I'm not sophisticated enough to know the levers that a more like how does BMNR outperform SBET? That's always interesting to me. I mean, I'm sure there are levers to pull that are much better, like the times that they end up buying and the ways that they stake and all of these different ways that they can end up gaining more yield on the amount of Ethereum. But that has to be like smaller margins than what the market is giving credit for, no? We need 1,000 viewers. And we've already been past 1,000. It's a hype time for SoFi investors, for Google shareholders as well. That's definitely an exciting time. But speaking of, BMNR, let's listen to Tom Lee right now talk about what he thought about the Fed meeting today and where he sees all of this going in the short term, potentially by, I don't know, end of year.
Good day to be a bull like yourself, Tom.
Yes, it is.
How do you process what we just heard?
Well, I think that it's the Fed acknowledging that the risks now are tilted for the labor market to be softening, and they want to head that off, especially because they don't think that tight labor markets are going to necessarily create inflation. That's a very good sign, and I think it means we have a dovish Fed again, and that's kind of a green light for small caps.
Small caps
and for equities.
They are working. Last I looked, small caps were up 3%. So is this what we need to really confirm the sort of broadening that comes and goes in the market?
Yeah, because I think that one of the things we should watch for is what happens to mortgage rates. But mortgage spreads are right now 360 basis points higher than the 10-year. Historically, it's 1.6 percentage points. So you could see a huge drop in mortgage rates. That's going to help housing, helps the financial small caps. And I think already the ISM, which has been below 50 for almost 30 months now, could finally go back above 50, and that's a good sign for industrials.
Although we had a discussion right on the heels of the speech about a little steepening in the curve. Is there a sense that the vigilantes are at least present, if not being necessarily vocal
Yeah, but we could also be steepening because growth expectations are improving as well. So this could be like what I'd call a bull steepening. I'm not really sure what the fixed income terms are, but I think it's actually a positive sign for growth.
The only real losers today are going to be some of the yielders and some staples. Would you be cautious on those?
That's right. I think that markets have been holding their breath. They've been getting defensive. That's why we've been bleeding for 5 days. And so now I think there's a relief and some capital gets put to work, and it's good for equities and risk assets.
So, all right, we need to make some news here, Tom. Everyone listens to you. We're at record highs now for the S&P and the Dow. How much more can these stocks rally?
I think there's a lot of upside, especially because, once you get an ISM back above 50, it really does argue for a broadening of markets. And I think one of the leaders probably comes from the financial sector. So I think, towards the end of the year, 6,800, 7,000 is possible.
Led by tech still?
Yeah, so I think you still want to play
this week.
Yeah, you want to be long AI and the crypto trade because those have been the market leaders. So the Mag 7, Bitcoin, Ethereum. But the broadening is really the financials, industrials, and small caps.
So you like them all?
Yeah, it's kind of cyclicals, AI and crypto, but not the defensives.
Your crypto calls have been getting a lot of attention lately, especially on Ether.
Yes.
Where we were talking earlier, we were debating whether it's the future of the financial system. A lot of people are thinking, people like you have said that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important moment happening this year with, the Genius Act, really greenlighting stable coins, and then Project Crypto, which is Wall Street moving on to the blockchain. I think it's a lot like 1971 when the US dollar went off the gold standard. That created the innovation of Wall Street because they had to sort of essentially create this synthetic dollar. Wall Street moving on to the blockchain is a bigger moment, and I think that's why Ethereum is essentially having its 1971 moment equivalent.
But a lot of people just see it as wild speculation and froth.
I'd say anytime something.
Seriously, who cares? Who cares what some people are speculating on? Sentiment will change as more institutions start using it. That's the great thing about Ethereum. You don't need people to believe in it. If there are some in the actual use cases by institutions on the back end are fielding its growth, then you're going to see the coins raise anyways, because the gas fees will end up paying for, more coins to end up getting burnt, and the institutions will get paid for staking it. So hopefully the sentiment changes, but that'll be just based on usage in general.
Goes up, people tend to call it froth. I think they called AI a frothy trade now, but we know it has a lot of legs and it's been taking place for a couple of years. Keep in mind, Ethereum is also the place where when agentic AI comes together, when you have robots and you want proof of human, you want to make sure those commands come from a verified source. That's all taking place on a smart contract. A lot of it will be Ethereum.
Tom, thank you. We just scratched the surface on that one, but we'll have you back very soon, no doubt.
We just got a donation from Momentum Swing. Says, put this on XRPT. It's a 2X XRP next to that Neopic I put in a week or two ago. So thank you so much for the donation. I do appreciate it. But if you guys read down below on the community portfolio, should be like futureinvesting.pro/portfolio. The rules are, one, you've broken so many rules, it's insane. It can't be crypto. Not that it can't be a crypto name, but it has to be an equity. Can't be a leveraged ETF, and it has to be at least over $10 to go in the community fund, just to save me a little bit of time. So I can't do any three of the requests that you wanted me to do. Thank you, though. I'm not calling them cheap. I'm mainly it's on the degeneracy side. It's the more on the 2x leverage of a coin. That's why not going to do it. But yeah. No refund, though. I mean, how could I possibly? If YouTube has a way for you to refund it, go ahead and refund. But it's like, it's, how could I? I just FOMO'd into ETH. I mean, you probably have already heard that you probably shouldn't do that. But yes, we are dropping just slightly back off these highs, but I mean, we're $30 off that high. If you're buying into it, buy into it for the right reasons. You know? Holding ETH since 1700. That's a pretty good price to hold. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Good for you. Adding BMNR Monday. Let's see how those names are reacting. SBET up 1.2% and BMNR up 1%. It's crazy that even though SBET ran more today than what BMNR did, it did not run as much as people would think to like BMNR. Let's just take a look. I don't actually have the answer to this. I'm just curious. What does the 1 month look like? Yeah, more 1 month really. 28.9%. SBET's 1 month down 21%. How crazy is that? Add D now. D now. I can add D now. It's over $1 billion. I will add D now. Let me go ahead and screenshot that. Thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate that. Let's also see what he said here. They make natural gas extraction equipment with European Union buying more from us. My guess is that this goes higher. Perfect. Yeah, we'll hold it for a year. By the way, you donated $15, but you don't need to give the amount of the stock at all. I'll just buy fractionally whatever is needed. Okay. BMNR is doing dilution to buy more ETH. Yeah, I mean, that's what the treasury companies are doing, right? That's the sort of hope here, is that they end up buying into an asset that will appreciate faster than their potential equity would, which ends up bringing up the equity, and the cycle goes on and on and on. Yeah, just more than 10. Yeah. Yeah, because whenever we first did it, I got spammed with like 100. It took me like an hour and a half just to punch in all of them into my phone. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. So it's fun, but it's also not required at all. So if you think that that's weird, just don't donate at all. It's not, it's just, yeah, it's just more fun than people just handing me money for what I think is like pointless reasons. At least there's some sort of fun game attached to it. It's lonely here on Twitch. Could you mention it so people come over? I also have Twitch if people prefer to use that as a streaming service, but it's not. Mr. Dow, you can talk. They see your messages over right here, so people can still talk to you, I guess. Yeah, no thanks. Yeah. That's funny. Works both ways. If Ethereum appreciates fast, great for share price. If ETH goes down, boom, 100%. Because if the equity or if the asset that you're buying is worse than the equity that you're selling, then you could be doing twice as bad. You could be buying into something that's falling and diluting your shareholders in return. So it's a risky play, but I'm taking, you know, a bet that it does work. And not with a large percentage, but yeah. It's just a fun trade that I do think will work. I don't trade often. Tanner, what we doing when SoFi hits 50? Well, I mean, most likely if it's deserving to go up to 50 and that the multiple doesn't get expanded too aggressively during that time and that they actually grow into it, I'll be holding, you know. But yeah, what do you want to do? I'll be holding. It's like whenever I was holding Nvidia, what are we doing whenever it hits $1 trillion? What are we doing whenever it hits 2, 3, 4 trillion? Like, I don't, we're holding because it looks like a better business now than it did back then. Yeah, we make money. We continue to write covered calls, make a little bit of money on the shares that we're holding, which is most likely what I'm going to do with SoFi as well, is write covered calls on the way up, really out of the money. So then we don't have to roll or get, destroyed that way. But yeah, it's going to 50 this year. Mark my words. Okay. Yeah. Tanner, what do you think SoFi could eventually, do you think SoFi could eventually be a $1 trillion market cap? I mean, anything is possible, but there's not a single financial in the $1 trillion mark range right now. So it's quite a stretch. But with anything can happen, but I wouldn't even be able to speculate on when that happens. What do you mean with thinking of Ethereum like a company? What of it is like a company? Well, they offer a technology that I think is being adopted by institutions. And, as more and more financial industries and more assets start to try to tokenize and create more payments, stable coins, flat coins, whatever, on Ethereum, that ends up paying more gas fees. So the same way that if a SaaS company was to offer, their software in return for payments, which is usually usage based, they would get returns over time, and that would usually appreciate the stock. And then with those, fees that SaaS company would make, they would usually try to return that back via dividend or return that back via buybacks. Ethereum has these sort of things played into it where, if you are staking your assets, which is what you should be if you're a long-term holder of anything, right? You should, like, in a way, if you're wanting a dividend company, you want to set it and forget it. If you think about that like staking, but it actually goes to help the system and increase the security of Ethereum. But you get paid for doing so, for sitting on your hands and being a shareholder over time, or a coin holder over time. And then, Ethereum gets burnt over time. So it actually tries to help the inflation of Ethereum, and potentially could even be negative, which would appreciate the share price. So I think that their technology is a breakthrough technology, and that more and more institutions, governments, and consumers will use it over time. And I think of that like a company. Because some people just say cryptocurrency. I don't think that everyone needs to think of it like a company, but I think that there are people that just go, "Oh, it's crypto. Crypto's a scam. I don't touch that." But whenever you start thinking of it as a real utility, a product that many governments, institutions, and consumers want, that they cannot find elsewhere, then it makes a lot more sense that, of course, the appreciation of Ethereum would happen, because there's just, actual usage fees that are happening. The stock is not going to 45 or 75 in the next year. I think we could definitely see 40s in the next 4 reported quarters. I think that people don't realize that the SoFi of this year is not like you're putting too much of SoFi's execution of the past and pulling it forward. The thing that I think is very interesting about SoFi right now is that they are in growth mode, and we haven't seen that since 2020, 2021. And so a lot of people, especially new investors into SoFi, are looking at SoFi and saying, hey, 2022, 23, even early 2025, we were getting our asses kicked. But that's not going to be the same way either. They have new products that are gaining such incredible momentum. Growth rates across all of their segments are increasing. They're taking market share in every single segment that they have. It's a full-on growth company. The people who say that it's a bank and that's why it's going to stay low have just been, functionally wrong. Just without a doubt. It's now $25 per share. The fact that they are a bank has not held them back. Okay. The people who said that previously, they've lost that argument. It's not if they, it's not a hope that they've lost it. Like it's incredible. Let's go to SoFi really quick. SoFi's price to book is 4.3 times. Okay. There's a lot of, neobanks or fintechs that could be much higher than that. But SoFi has already proven that they do not need to be priced like a Bank of America or a JP Morgan, where we sit at a 1 to 2x price to book value in that range. It's already been disproven. The market is taking it above 4x. Didn't know Ethereum had inflation? Yes, they do. They do not have a cap supply the way that Bitcoin does. It's different. They have a built-in level of, or I think there's like a scheduled total supply, so you can still calculate it to some degree. But yes, there is inflation because it's not the same. It's not designed to be a store of value. It's designed to be, almost like a utility, like a computer in a way. Let's see what else. Yeah, and by the way, whenever I pitch SoFi or talk about it, it's not to try to encourage the naysayers into being shareholders. If you don't feel comfortable holding that name, it's probably in your best interest that you don't. Not every single company is best for everyone because it depends on what you're going to do with that. Whenever it drops by 20%, are you going to panic and sell because you go, oh my God, I knew I was, holding a bank all along and that it's going to go down to a 1 times price to book? No. There's, you have to know what you're buying. You have to know what you're holding. Didn't even pick SoFi in the stock draft. I know, but that was not, I didn't think, I was under the impression that everyone else in that group hated SoFi. I just recently came off of a debate where myself and Data Driven Investing were on the bull side of SoFi and Amit and Steve were on the bear side. So I didn't think any of them were going to pick SoFi. And then Matt Money had a ongoing bet with Tevis that it wasn't going to hit $25 by end of year. So Tevis just got paid out on that as of today. And Chris does not like SoFi at all. So I thought I had some time to pick the names that I thought were more competitive amongst the people. Not that they were going to do better, but that I wanted them in the portfolio and that I thought that someone else was going to try to take them away from me because it was an elimination bracket. So I was going to save SoFi for like 5th or 6th place. And then Matt was contemplating taking SoFi and I felt my heart drop into my stomach. And I was like, oh my God. And he was like, should I take SoFi or ASTS? I was like, ASTS, baby, take ASTS. And then I was going to take SoFi if he didn't, but I didn't have time. Yeah. Someone also said in the chat here, I don't see where it was, but I saw a comment about it while I was scrolling past. It said, do you think that SoFi will do an acquisition? Oh, right here. Do you think SoFi will do an acquisition? Yes. Some people, I posted about this online and people are like, no, they're not going to. They're building in crypto. Like, okay, they can still, like, they had a home loan division for refinances and then they bought Wyndham Capital for purchase loans because they're very different systems. They made a whole acquisition so then they could tackle another aspect of home loans. You don't think that they can make an acquisition in crypto to tackle another aspect of that business? And also remember, I said crypto tech. So it's not just about what they can sell to consumers or institutions. It also lowers their internal costs for internal money movement. I would not bet against the idea that they will make a small acquisition for the technology. Duolingo, not a buy for me. Great deep dive though. It was a great deep dive. Chris did amazing. We continued to talk afterwards for so long, and like Chris, Roy, and myself, I think Tevis had to go, but it was great. There are parts that I like and there are parts that I don't, but then during those types of times, it's like might go in the too hard bucket or something like this. And I think it's down again today, another 3-point-something%. So maybe if it continues to drop, there will be a time where it is worth taking a bet on. But yeah, I think it probably likely does better than not. But there are just plays that I have higher conviction in. Not that anything's wrong with Duolingo or something like this. Are you still bullish on Nubank? Yes. It's one of my largest holdings. Why crypto acquisition and nothing and something else and not something else? Anthony Noto specifically said that they were potentially looking into buying a crypto company. So it's not my hopes. It's what both Anthony Noto has made a comment about and Chris Lapointe has said in a fireside chat. When Tanner says I do be saying You still bullish on Solana? I have not trimmed any Solana, but I do worry that Ethereum has sort of taken the cake. We'll see. New, that's why you're the man. Perfect stock pick at a perfect time. Honestly, I'll give myself a pat on the back. It was definitely great timing, but I wish I had a little bit more whenever it was, $3.80 or whatever. Are you bullish on weed stocks? Trump is potentially rescheduling it. I saw that. I was potentially interested in looking into it, but no, I have not taken any bets. No. Like, I don't know if it's very similar to here in Canada, which weed is fully legalized here. But most people that I know that do smoke or anything like this, they end up growing their own supply, and that's probably not good for business to be selling a product that can be so widely just almost made at home. Now, obviously, there's the products, there's the drinks, the gummies, the I don't remember what, not THC, but the other one that's more for like medical purposes. But like, yeah. Legitimately, there's so many people that grow. I was actually going to take a picture. I was walking through my neighborhood and just on the front of someone's lawn, there was just like pot plants. And I was like, what the heck? CBD. Yes. Thank you. CBD is for wimps. I don't know about the popularity between THC and CBD, but I'm pretty sure there are CBD exclusive products that are still pretty popular for that industry. Okay. We can grow our own vegetables, but don't. Well, then bet on the weed industry, brother. But I mean, historically, it's done pretty bad for people, and it's fully legalized here in Canada. So I mean, I've watched it get pushed out to a TAM of 40 million people, and those have been some of the worst investments that you could have possibly invested in after it was legalized. Going into legalization, I made a fortune selling, Canopy Growth Corporation and what was the Aurora, and I wasn't big into Tilray, but I did have a little bit of Tilray and Prev and all of these ones. But then once it legalized, it's gone only one direction. That's down. I'm convinced SoFi's $1.5 billion raise is for a big acquisition. I am not. After the SoFi came out and said that they are looking at it for three big reasons: to accelerate loan growth, to pay down debt, and to potentially do an acquisition. But yet they even put in brackets, we don't have a name that we're particularly looking at right now. I don't think that that means that the entire thing goes towards a large acquisition, nor do I potentially want one big acquisition. I actually do want a smaller $100 million, $200 million acquisition like what Robinhood has done. That has seemingly done very, very well for them, where they buy the tech, but they're not necessarily buying the customers, because SoFi has the customers. We're not worried about that. We need the technology. You're out here making fortunes. Well, I would say that Canopy Growth Corporation. It's now Weed. It was actually, the company's name was Tweed whenever I first bought it, but that was like my first large return as an investor. And I had no money in the markets at all, and I made a 12x on that over like what I think was like an 18-month period or so. And then that's what actually got me interested in investing, because I had bet on something that there was a high chance that Justin Trudeau was going to legalize that. That was his entire motivation. And I was a kid at the time, and all of my friends were voting for Justin. Like, I knew that the young vote for Justin Trudeau was going to be off the charts because of things like legalizing marijuana. Now, I didn't even participate, but I mean, like, do you not, like, it was pretty obvious to see the opportunity. What's the next catalyst for Hood? Banking. The banking products will be huge. And you say you don't gamble. That was a long time ago. And I also do not look at the stock market and buying individual equities with no margin or multiple on it. That is considered gambling. I do trade from time to time. Maybe those are taking bets, but they're like educated bets. A casino, lottery tickets, these sort of things are actively not in your favor. There's not a game that you can find in the casino that has an above 50% win rate, or else that would no longer be a game in the casino. Maybe Baccarat or something like this might be closer to in your favor, but the house has the advantage. Add to Micron, big dog. Thank you, Deadpan. I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and screenshot that. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate the donation. That's very kind of you. Dookie Pie is probably up 6 figures today. I am sure she's probably nearing the 7-figure mark on a day like today. Aren't covered calls gambling? I would not think so at all. What's the gambling part? You tell me how I lose money, not lose opportunity. So some people, I get these comments sometimes like, what do you mean you can't lose in covered calls? What if this company skyrockets? It's like, okay, yeah, I'll have to sell at a lower price than where it's at one point, but it's still higher than what my average price is at. I didn't lose money. I just didn't make more, I didn't make more money. Which, by the way, I've never had that happen. Yep, that's true. That's true. You can be forced into holding a company longer, and then that company can go bankrupt for sure. But that would happen regardless if I'm doing covered calls or not. I would just be holding on to SoFi or Nvidia or something like this whenever those companies come out and they're called frauds. I mean, but I don't actively think of the companies that I'm holding as frauds. And some of that is because I'm also betting on seasoned businesses. MZAC, thank you for the $10. What do you want me to put that towards? You got no message attached. Thank you for the donation, my friend. I really do appreciate that. That's very kind. The premiums get taxed. That's still not a negative. You're only getting taxed on your profits. That's not a negative. I'm actively doing covered calls. Correct. I didn't see who said that covered calls were a gamble, but I didn't. Oh, Luis. Let's see if we see another Luis in chat. See, this is the problem with YouTube versus Twitch or something like this. It's like I should just be able to, like, one of the things with Twitch, which is so great, is you can just highlight a member in chat, and then it'll only show you those person's comments in case you're in a direct conversation with that one person. But yeah. I think MZAC has messaged in the chat previously, so I will wait for MZAC to give me a name. If not, we can look for his name previously. But with 900 plus people in the chat, thank you guys all so much for being here. It's such amazing to see that the company or that the community is so here and lively on a day to celebrate like today. SoFi at $25 per share. Even on the month, man, 18%. It's crazy. My SoFi covered calls at 27 expiring in 3 weeks, looking like I might need to roll. I mean, yeah, that would be crazy, right? $27. Oh my. It's been a long journey. 901? No, it's counting all platforms. The potential customer base for Duolingo is too limited. Maybe that's true. I actually didn't ask what percentage of the TAM that they're actually taking. I don't remember if I heard what their customer counts actually were, but I'm sure that's like slide one of their investor presentation, so I could definitely find that out if I just wanted to purchase it. Yeah. Are they a bank? Are they not a bank? It's been a weird journey. It's definitely been a weird journey. Tevis in chat. Hey, bro. You got paid by Matt Money. It's over 25. Get that $500 or whatever. There you go. That'll pay for like your sushi order or whatever. Have you seen Tevis order sushi? It's like he gets like a crate delivered to his house. It's unbelievable. So $500 should pay for his Wednesday sushi orders, and then that's about that. Matt Money doesn't have $500. I don't know if you've seen him in the stock draft. He's he's doing all right. He's picking the right names. With rate cuts looming and Galileo platform scaling, how do you want SoFi to spend their money? I've already said I want them to put it towards loan growth, paying off debts, and a small crypto acquisition. That would be my hope. If only you had SoFi in the stock draft, I know I'd be doing a lot better, and I would have taken away an unbelievable winner from the person who is in first place right now. So the race would have been much closer. And then Trade Desk has treated me so poorly. I've actually sold out of that company since I've put it in the stock draft. So, yeah. Well, what's funny is in the stock draft, I didn't have AppLovin in my portfolio, and I did have Trade Desk in my portfolio, and that has since switched. I now hold AppLovin and do not hold Trade Desk, but have to continue to hold them in the stock draft. Could you imagine Powell not cutting in September? I mean, it's still a possibility. The rates are not 100%. And even if they were, there's still a possibility. It's just sentiment. But yeah, like I do think that there will be a rate cut. I could even see them coming out with a 50 basis point rate cut. And the market, for some reason doesn't see any potential for a 50 basis point cut. But I don't think it's that clear that they won't. A single bad jobs report or something like this between now and September 17th, and we are cooked. Just looked at open, sold at $2. I mean, I wouldn't worry about names like that. If you believe that the company is fundamentally strong and that they're going to make a real difference, then you should hold on to those winners. If you are buying it for the hype and catching a wave, bro, at that point, it's greater fool theory. And the people who are buying at 5 are hoping that the people at 6 are sillier than them. And that the people at 7 are, they wouldn't buy at 7, but I bought at 2. So it's, I don't know. Unless there's something fundamentally underneath it that allows the people that are buying at 7 to have the same discount at 2 or $1 per share, then I wouldn't worry about it. Open Door was just a hype bubble. Toxic. I don't know if you've seen what's going on right now, but I think the was part is a little bit, we're talking is, man. This is in the last 5 years. We're starting to beat out some of these highs that we've seen previously. So we're in uncharted territory right now. Open Door up 37% on the day. On the day. Now, I'm not going to touch it, and I don't feel any FOMO. But yeah. I sold my SoFi position today for a $98,000 profit. Congratulations. What's up? That's awesome. I sold half of my position today on SoFi for $25.03. A lot of people thinking this is the top, eh? A lot of people think we're topping out $25. I'm not so sure about that. I think now those might have been great positions for your guys' style of investing, and I'm not suggesting that you change any part of that. But whenever Anthony Noto is putting out that they're hiring more today than they've essentially ever have hired previously, and they're hiring top talent, and they have a bunch of capital to accelerate growth, I think we're going to get a series of upgrades. And a bunch of analysts have just put out price targets for $28 a share. It's not even like we're just sky high over analysts and the analysts are flagging out some, over investment. I think this is one of those times where you do not cut your flowers to water your weeds. This is the part of, if you guys want a 10x, if people are looking for a 10x or a 5x or whatever you're looking for, it's very hard to do that if you're going to cut at a 50% profit, an 80% profit. Maybe you've seen a double, whatever. The hard part is believing in the story and that the story hasn't changed. And that's what I think, SoFi is doing right now. The story is changing for the upside. The macro is completely in its favor right now. Its consumers are a little bit protected from, the bad jobs markets. I think it's in a pretty good spot right now. It's my only stock at the moment. And you sold 50%? You're 50% cash right now? Am I buying Duolingo? No. I bought 100 shares of SoFi at 25. Cool. Enjoy. Yeah, why not? No, it's up to you. I don't care. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how SoFi does with their loan growth. And by the way, the market just pumped on the hopes. This is a very interesting point as well. The market just pumped on the hopes of a rate cut. What does the institutions do whenever they are going to SoFi and saying, hey, do you have personal loans for us? Because they want to buy before rate cuts, so then they get higher rates on those personal loans. They want to buy SoFi's existing loans. So maybe not even just loan platform business, but also existing balance sheet turnover. After today, like I bet Noto's phone is ringing off the hook with loan demand because they know it's coming. I bought SoFi on the dip this week. Were the institutions short today? I didn't check the actual daily interest today, but I'm sure it was mostly bullish. I'd be surprised if they were going pretty heavily short after that JPOW speech. The loans are fixed, correct. Fixed loans that are at higher APRs, whenever rate cuts come down, they stay at those high rates. The distance between your cost of funding and the APR that you're getting from that loan widens, which means a bigger profit margin. That's something that institutions would love to have. And we've seen that historically. But also, whenever rates are going up, that profit margin shrinks. That's why SoFi got obliterated down to like $4 before. Because but you can see how powerful rate cuts are to the sentiment of SoFi stock. Rate cuts are low, SoFi's at 25. Rate cuts are high, down to 4. Rate cuts are potentially not even low, but potentially going lower, back to 25. All along the way, if you actually look at the financials of the business, revenue is improving. Margins are improving, flowing down to net income. The whole financial part of the business is improving. Where's Ram at? Ram the other day, SoFi sold off one day down to $22. And Ram said, oh, this is not good. Guy, we just hit a new high back to 25, one of the highest closes ever. Like, please do yourself a favor. Stop talking. Your clients definitely don't want to see those tweets. You've just been historically so wrong. It's unbelievable. I live playing with house money. Whenever a stock pumps 100%, I sell my cost basis and hold the good companies. It's my own strategy. Perfectly okay. Yep. Is that normal? Well, you're talking about mainly mortgages. So there are obviously variable and fixed rate mortgages. SoFi mainly deals in personal loans and in student loans, but mainly personal loans. I'm talking about 70% of their loan book is personal loans. I think about 3% of their loan book is home loans. But that I think you'll see grow over time. You'll see that grow to above 10% in the near term. And then you're going to see a bunch of upgrades once again from institutions. So I just checked. My SoFi position is now free money. Gotta love it. That's the beauty of markets. Congratulations, Paul. That's awesome. I unironically think SoFi has the best chance of being a 10 bagger in the next few months. Do you mean from here? Like 25 to 250? Because I think that is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Sorry, Pat. But from, yeah, it's going to need more than a few months. We are pulling a lot of excitement forward. We're still a lender. There's still going to be worries about, debt repayment, payback period. Like there's going to be some aspects of, hey, SoFi's a bank. Like we're going to be tethered a little bit. But in the long term, the loan platform business will take over more of the overall revenue, and the risk will end up continuing to lower, and the margins will improve. I'm not buying SoFi for the quick turnaround. I'm buying SoFi because, to me, the chance of failure is really low. The chance of succeeding is really high. And it's like buying a Netflix or a Spotify or a shop. Like it's just going to be a winner. That's the way that I see it. I'm not suggesting that for anyone else, but that's based on the research that I've done. Do I think that means that it's going to be a 10x soon? I'm sorry, but no. Maybe a 10x soon if you bought at $4.28, like Anthony Noto did. But even in a few months, I think that's a stretch. Oh, did it get released? Yep, it did. It did. Amit met with Jared Kushner. So how cool is that? I know a lot of people saw it, and I didn't want to spoil it, but you could definitely hear if you go back. Amit said, Derek Wall said in the background, he said, "It's Jared Kushner." And that's whenever Amit muted, and he was like kind of yelling at Derek for spoiling it. That's not VVV. VVV is not Jared Kushner. This is is it Ivanka Trump's husband? Amit's like one layer from Trump, essentially. One layer away from Elon and all. Well, actually, Elon's retweeted him, but it's just insane. The guy's just straight a celebrity at this point. But look at the build on my boy too. He's got arms, and white shoes, the white Air Forces. Crazy. It's like they decided to come in the exact same outfit. It's ridiculous. Jared looks weak. No, he's not. I don't think he looks weak. He's got more like a running kind of vibe. Maybe he's a cyclist or something. I'm sure he takes care of himself. Okay, let's see. A lot of steak dinners. Amit's just blown up like crazy. He's got such a personality. It's unbelievable. And you know what? None of it's going to his head or anything. Like, he is such an amazing dude. I was arriving in town in his area, and he's like, "Oh, I didn't realize that you were here. Like, do you want me to, come pick you up?" He's not like going to go send a guy to come pick me up. He's like, "Do you want me to drive to the airport so then you can save money on an Uber?" I was like, "I'm good, Amit." He's just such a nice dude. It's unbelievable. None of it's gone to his head. It's crazy. Jared's into jiu-jitsu. Nice. Mitt not wearing a working watch. Yeah, no, it's true. It is true. It doesn't work. Yeah. Someone just resurfaced this. Ram with Giuliano Bologna wearing a SoFi shirt talking about how this stock is going to like less than $4 a share. Data-driven investing. Welcome to join in. DM me and my team will send you the guest link. Guys, this was not a bullish meet. These were two institutional companies trying to tell retail investors that we didn't understand the markets and that there's aspects to the company that we just weren't seeing, which I think to some degree is true, that there are layers to the funding aspects and capital markets that even it just goes right over my head. But there was a real ecosystem play, a technology play, a viral piece. Like I don't know how you look at their customer acquisition costs, their growing revenue per user, but they weren't looking at that because they were treating it like a bank. So those aspects of their business literally get thrown in the trash. For the most part, every company that I look at is a SaaS company. Like, I mean, I treat them all the same. Are you attracting more users? Are you getting more out of them? Are you increasing your margins? Are you doing it faster than you were doing it before? Like over and over. And now at $25, I don't know. Giuliano and I have spoken a few times. He's treated me with respect. But I think that he also I think that they look down on retail investors and just discounted our work 100%. But now it's $25 a share and nothing else matters. And if you guys feel like this is the top, go ahead and sell. But it's still, from $4 or whatever that they think it was going to be till now, we're talking about more than a 6x. So big difference. Yeah. I think that SoFi's multiple could continue to expand just because we're going to go more into fee-based revenue. And you see that from a lot of the other loan platform lending type businesses as well. Upstart, I think, is one that people look to and say it has a better chance of winning than SoFi. I disagree. I think there's zero signs to prove that. And and I mean truly zero. Like, I honestly think there's a zero sign right now that Upstart's going to win and SoFi will not. Not saying that they both can't, but yeah, they get a much higher multiple and underwrite less and have less to cross-sell to. But they have artificial intelligence, and boy, oh boy, is that a good selling point. Shyam Sankar sold a bunch of Palantir. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of reasons to sell. There's only one reason to buy, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But I'm sure he's worked a long time for many, 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 many years. I'm sure it's okay to take a little payday, but we could take a look. What does it look like right now? Let's see if someone's posted on Twitter, or else we'll just go to the SEC filings and find it ourselves. I don't see anything immediately, so let me go. PLTR. Okay. Let's go to filings. Was it today? Shyam. Okay, I have it here. Shyam Sankar sold 30,000 shares, $4.65 billion. Or sorry, million. Million. You can see this here. So Shyam Sankar, 30,000 shares for an aggregate value of $4.659 million. He's still got a heck. Oh, no. That's outstanding. Crazy. Oh, did it come off of is this RSUs that he's had before? Or is he doing this for cash purposes or for tax purposes? Because this could have been for tax purposes, and then we're looking at nothing. Miri. Okay. He's worth $1 billion. Not too bad, eh? All you have to do is build one of the most powerful technology business. That's it. You know, you guys act like getting out of poverty is that hard. Just build the best technology company in the world. I kid. It's just a joke. Maybe a little offensive. I don't know. Upstart is more in car loan / finance. They are, no, I don't believe that at all. They are almost exclusively in personal loans and do a little bit in HELOCs and car loans and small dollar loans, but that makes up for a very small percentage of their overall loan origination. And it's almost all personal loans. What did Palantir do? I'm sure that was green today. Palantir up 1.6% to 158.74. It's the greenest we've ever seen the company? No. Is it good that they are still green on this beautiful day? Yes, that's good. Can't get HELOCs in Texas? Didn't know that. That's interesting. Why is that? What's wrong with home equity lines of credit? Is also like, yeah, I'm curious if they have like reverse mortgages and stuff there, or that's also sort of off the table. Think football season helps boost SoFi's numbers? I wouldn't think dramatically. We always thought that that might happen in things like the Super Bowl being there and everything was going to just change SoFi's numbers, but we actually didn't see it in the quarter. What time is it? Okay, it's past 6. I gotta go get some things done. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. I will not be live till 10. I'm not going to do like a 7 o'clock stream today. We kind of did that, covered the market. It was fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But bye for now.